Just when we thought FPL was becoming a little bit stale with double Arsenal defence, all of a sudden the international break throws up a couple of curveballs, hopefully, that's going to break the game a little bit open and force people to go down the differentials route, which is where I come in with my differentials to boost your game week rank for game week 12. I've got my best 1 week punts in here as well, and a reflection on the fact that yet again, 50% of my 1 week punts in game week 11 came in. So hopefully we can do the same. And we're also going to be introducing something very similar on the FPL pubcast amongst the hosts there as well. So keep an eye out for that later in the week over on the pubcast channel. And with that being said, if you enjoy the content, please smash a like on the video. Leave us a comment with picks that you like the look of here and where you're potentially going to go if you've got a Gabriel or Calafiori or someone else that might have got injured during the international break. And if you haven't already smashed that subscribe button, please consider doing so. And with that being said, ladies and gents, let's get into it. So the best place to start then obviously is with the news that potentially some people's teams might have their double Arsenal defence or maybe even their triple Arsenal defence in tatters, potentially. Now, Gabriel did actually get substituted off, and Ancelotti obviously talked about it in his post-match press conference and basically alluded to it as an adductor. Now, I've done groins, adductors, and the hip flexor, which is also where the adductor is, I believe, from my knowledge of having played football and having these injuries myself, is a bloody painful one. And basically, it just affects your ability to kick the ball. Now, they haven't come out and said what Cole Palmer's injury was, but I would have imagined that's to do with the groin adductors kind of area as well. And the only way you can deal with those kind of injuries is rest. And Gabriel didn't look overly happy when he obviously came off. And I mean, when you think about it, what do you think is going to happen if you continuously play 90 minutes every single, like 3 times a week? Eventually, it's going to catch up with you, and maybe that's what's happened here. Now, I could be completely wrong by the time this goes out. Arteta might we might see him back in training on Tuesday evening or Wednesday evening because I'm recording this on Sunday. But it's looking ominous. And if you've started with Gabriel and Calafiori, for example, at the start of the season, you've got 142 points from these two players. Now, Calafiori, there's a little bit more intrigue, but basically Gattuso or whatever came out and basically said, thanked him for his commitment, but basically sent him back. Now, we've already seen this season that Calafiori has literally missed every single game during the Champions League. How do I know this? Because I was dumb enough and bought him in my UCL fantasy team, and the dude just refused to show up and play football for me and consistently got me 0 points, which was highly frustrating, but it is what it is. Now, when you look at the numbers combined for these two, you can argue if you own Calafiori and you're hoping it was going to cover Gabriel, you could argue you've been actually quite unlucky. Now, Gabriel's got 81 points. Calafiori's got 61 points for the season. Combined, they've got 142. But they've both got the same amount of goals, both same amount of assists, both same amount of clean sheets, both same amount of starts. The difference is that Gabriel has racked up 4 lots of defensive contributions and he's racked up a load of bonus as well. Whereas Calafiori has not got either of them, essentially, other than outside the first week when he obviously scored that goal. Now, when you look at the underlying numbers, though, Calafiori should be beating Gabriel hands down. He's literally doubled his XGI for the season. And I think that if you've got Calafiori, you've been exceptionally unlucky. But I just think, and I did wonder this, like I understood people going to double Arsenal defence like 4 or 5 weeks ago. That made a lot of sense. When people were going there like last week or whatever against Sunderland, it made no sense to me. Like when you've got those fixtures down there, like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, the only fixture I think you'd want to be playing double Arsenal defence, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, is Wolves at home. And I intend on free hitting in game week 16. So for me, like how many clean sheets do you honestly think Arsenal are going to keep between now and game week 17? I would argue it's probably like 2. If we're being kind. Like Brentford at home, you'd expect them probably to keep a clean sheet. Spurs, it's a North London derby. They normally beat Spurs, but Spurs normally score. So, and then they've got Aston Villa and Chelsea away. I don't see clean sheets there. And then Everton away, and I don't see a clean sheet there either. So it's Wolves and the Brentford game where you would put that as the bankers as clean sheets. So I think if you've got double Arsenal defence, this should just serve as a wake-up call potentially to move one of them straight out. Now, if you've bought Gabriel recently, you don't have much team value tied up in him. If you bought him at 6 mil, it's going to be harder to let go now because you've got 0.3 million that you're going to lose when you sell him, because obviously you can only sell him for 6.3. But there's a world where he just gets mass sold because he's going to be out for a month, and you're going to bank that 0.3 and you're going to be able to buy him back the same amount. So for me, I only have Gabriel on my team. And I was talking about in my video I released on Saturday that, I was looking to get rid of him. So this might be the news to my ears, completely bailing out of the Arsenal defence entirely, particularly with those fixtures, kind of makes a little bit of sense. So yeah, unfortunately, the fixtures do turn south. If you've got a lot of injuries in your team or other issues that come back from the international journey, this might be somewhere where all of a sudden it can lead to some differential play. And I'm all here for the differential play. We all know that. So game week 12, the differentials. This week, there are so many good-looking differentials because the fixtures change. The fixture swings are happening now. Like, you could argue Liverpool starts this week against Nottingham Forest. I don't know if it does, but I'm covering a few of their players today. Aston Villa, nice little run of 4 games where 3 of the 4 are looking absolutely beautiful. Manchester United, hello, hello. Crystal Palace, hello, hello. Very nice fixtures across the board there for those teams. And then we've got Manchester City. Now, depending on how you see Newcastle at the moment, you could argue you could go earlier, a week early on Manchester City assets. I think it all just comes down to the fact that there's going to be injuries, hopefully, to Gabriel. And I'm not saying hopefully in terms of I hope there's injuries. I hope there's not. But an injury to Gabriel at 40-odd% ownership means that the game will open up because people will go in a number of different ways. A lot of people will probably make the default play and go for Virgil van Dijk because they think Liverpool's brilliant, and yet they've only kept 3 clean sheets all season and he scored no goals in the Premier League. All his goals, like Dan Burns, in the UEFA Champions League. Now, I just think this is the place where you can get aggressive. Like game week 12 last season, I remember I went Lewis Hall, I went with Kirkes and a bunch of other players that were all owned by under 5% of the comp, and they all went bonanza. So this is the juncture where you can strike gold. And I think this is the play. So other teams that you do need to be aware of that are coming into good fixtures are obviously Brentford. Chelsea's are still pretty good. And obviously Brighton. Brighton's are pretty good as well. Outside of that, it's the 4 big clubs that you really want to be investing in for the next period of time. The fixtures this week as well. If you're looking for 1 week punts this week, it has to be Man United versus Everton. It's got to be Wolves versus Palace. I mean, that feels like a no-brainer just to be tripled up on Palace this week and the next 6 weeks pretty much. Burnley versus Chelsea should be a nice little fixture there as well. Bournemouth against West Ham is an interesting one. And then obviously Leeds and Aston Villa. I would expect those are the 5 fixtures you really want to be targeting this week, and they're the ones to attack. Now, moves this week, as I've just said, might come down to how many players you've got coming back from international break that are injured, that are going to be rested, that are, I don't know, whatever. Like, obviously, when I look at Chelsea, I look at Chalobah in my own team, and I think, okay, that looks like a really good fixture, Burnley away. But they've got Barcelona 2 days later in the Champions League. Like, yeah, I mean, it's a quick turnaround. So maybe there will be some rotation. I'm not sure. And then obviously you've got to have some players. Some people have players, their fixtures just turn really bad now. So it makes sense to just abort and just get rid of them. So if you're one of those people, I've got you covered this week. But before we go any further, we're going to have a quick relook at the fixture difficulty now, because this is really important. Because a lot of people, I think, misread the fixtures. And I obviously created this myself because I just think that certain teams are just getting disrespected in terms of like the fixtures and wherever they are. Like, so for example, FPL Towers still have Sunderland at home as a green fixture. Like when they go to, for Fulham, they're saying that Sunderland's a green fixture this week. They're sitting in the top 4. They are not a green fixture by any way, shape or form. They are a grey fixture across the board. They might even be a red fixture when they're playing at home. Like, I just think I do this every week and I update it every week and I think about the results and where teams are. And this is what I've got it at the moment. Like, it's very obvious that Leeds and Wolves arguably have the worst fixtures in the league. Now, West Ham are not far behind. Then obviously Sunderland and Burnley and then Spurs. And look, people say that Newcastle have a good run of fixtures. I look at those fixtures and I don't see any good fixtures outside of Burnley at home and 15 for Newcastle. Like, which is why I've got Nick Pope in the firing line for my own team. even if you have a look at Bournemouth, right, they've got West Ham at home in 12, Burnley home in 17. But are you really going to want to be playing your Bournemouth assets every single week, 13 to 16? I think the answer is probably not, which is why for myself, I've talked about it previously. I've got Semenyo in the firing line and probably exiting the team after West Ham. Brentford, obviously, they're an interesting team because like some of their home fixtures are just, they're bankers. Like Burnley at home, Leeds at home, Wolves at home. Probably the 3 best fixtures you can have at home in the league. Like, but not many people are talking about their defenders or their midfielders. Now, this week, I think it makes a lot of sense. I don't think they're going to do that well against Brighton this week away. And they've obviously got Arsenal in 14. But outside of that, their fixtures are so good. And Brentford do play much better at home as well. So I think some investment there. And I will be loading up on them for the differentials in Gameweek 13. I can give you the hot tip. Then Liverpool, Aston Villa, Man City, Man United, Crystal Palace, Chelsea, Brighton. You can throw a stick at all of them. And they're all going to have great fixtures for now and pretty much through for a very long time. So I think you can't go too far wrong targeting any of those clubs this week or over the next coming weeks as well. So on to the goalkeepers this week, and it is Martinez staying at the top there. So 5 million, he obviously now has kept 3 clean sheets from 9 starts. And look, when you look at those fixtures, I know that Leeds and West Ham are away in 12 and 16, but they're easy fixtures. And the way that Aston Villa are defending at the moment is pretty good. Like expected goals conceded, only 1.16 per 90. So which is why saves is obviously well under 3 as well. And I just think they're going to keep some clean sheets over there. They've shown they might not be as attacking as we're used to seeing under Unai Emery, but their defence is actually doing much better than what did throughout the first half of last season. And I see some clean sheets there. So I think he still has to be the number 1 under 10% ownership. Then comes Alisson Becker. Now, I'm not sure what to think. Now, the pricing in FPL is really weird, right? So he's become locked because he's obviously changed from red to yellow flagged or whatever. And he was due to drop in price to 5.3. Now it's been completely reset. So he's probably not going to drop in price again, which is exceptionally unlucky if you're hoping for him to drop to 5.3 before buying. But he's arguably a very, very good goalkeeper. The problem is he quite often gets injured. So that's not ideal, because you don't really want to be wasting transfers on him. But if you're in a wild card and you don't know where else to go, I actually think Alisson Becker is probably a really solid option as the goalkeeper for your team. So I don't mind him at all. And I owned him last season as well for a good number of weeks before I sold him on my second wild card or whatever it was. So I actually think he's one of those keepers that will get save points. He will get bonus points. He's not like a Raya where it's 2 or 6 or a 1 and 6 or a 0 and 6. Alisson Becker actually has the capability of scoring more than 6 points. So I don't mind it. And it's a good way of covering the Liverpool defence. If you don't want to go for a Virgil, or you don't want to go for anyone else because you're scared about how expensive they are, he's a cheaper alternative. Now, Henderson. This dude continuously gets overlooked. Now, I don't know why. He's got 5 clean sheets from 11 starts. It's almost 50% success rate for clean sheets. Look at the fixtures coming up. Wolves, Burnley, Fulham and Leeds, 4 of the next 6. And the XGC for Palace is actually really good. 1.17 per 90 is ridiculously good. I just think he's a victim of circumstance. Lots of people want Mateta like I did, like Sarr, like Munoz, like Lacroix, like Gahey, and he just gets overlooked. But in reality, he's been so good. It's just because of the fact there's so many other options in that team, he just gets consistently overlooked. He's exceptionally unlucky. He should be much higher owned. And like, if it wasn't for the fact I bought Munoz, I would have bought Henderson this week for Pope. But I bought Munoz because I just wanted the attacking threat. Just because I think that they're going to be so good attacking-wise over the next few weeks. And then Kelleher. I've changed out Bart Simpson for Kelleher. I think the fixtures now for Brentford over Brighton are just slightly better. They both kept the same amount of clean sheets. Kelleher's actually going to cost you 0.1 million more. He's owned by slightly more as well. But the XGC per 90 is better than what Bart Simpson is, but Verbruggen is. So I just think that he could be really good as well. Like, realistically, you're probably not looking at him. It's probably one of the other 3. Now, other people have looked at Le Mans. I think you really want to see Man United keep some clean sheets before you start looking at Le Mans. That's just my personal opinion on him. And then onto the defenders, and look, this is going to be controversial this week because these are not the average run-of-the-mill defenders, and almost all of them, they're all under 2% owned. Like this is like uber differentials. Like when these when a player like this pops, your rank goes through the roof. Like, literally goes through the roof. Like, it goes, I can tell you, I had it happen a number of times last season. This season, not so much so far. But hopefully in the coming weeks, it will do that for me with some of the players I will be picking up. So Bradley. Now, lots of people talking about Virgil van Dijk. And look, the masses will go to Virgil van Dijk. Why? Because he's safe for minutes. When you look at Bradley, though, he's started 7 games out of 11. And the starts he didn't get were pretty much towards the beginning of the season. He's actually started, I think, the last 6 in a row or something like that. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But his XGI per 90 is way better than Van Dijk's, 0.1. He's already got 1 assist, which is more than what Van Dijk's got, I believe, this season as well. Obviously, the clean sheets have been a big problem for Liverpool. Only 1 clean sheet from his 7 starts. Virgil van Dijk, for comparison, has only got 3 from his 11 starts. So they haven't been keeping the goals out, which is kind of why I like the Bradley pick. Now, I know Virgil's obviously going to get the DC points maybe every other week, whereas Bradley's never going to get them because that's not the kind of player he is. But with the fixtures they've got, you would expect them to be able to target and then attack, and for him to get attacking returns. So I just see more upside in Bradley. And if they're going to keep a clean sheet, he's going to get the same amount of clean sheet points as Virgil. And if he's getting an assist compared to Virgil's DC, Bradley's going to beat him. And he costs 0.9 million less. So I just think that he could be a really good shout. And I think that realistically, with Mo Salah going away to AFCON, that means that Frimpong, I think, will be lined up to play there. So I don't think he's going to be a threat on Bradley. I could be completely wrong, but I just think that he's probably the easiest and cheapest way into the Liverpool defence if you wanted to cover it for those fixtures there. Then we've got Luca Dean. Now, I covered Matty Cash the week before. And Matty Cash, I like changing up these players every week, so I give different players for people to think about. Now, I know Luca Dean is quite often referred to as the FPL troll, and 1.6% ownership probably says just as much. But when you look at him, he's got 4 clean sheets, he's had 10 starts from 11, he's had 3 assists already this season, he's going an XGI of 0.18 per 90, and expected goals conceded is only 1.21. Like, it's not actually that bad. And the fixtures, they scream points for like what Luca Dean delivers. He delivers an amazing ball into the box when you're versing Leeds defence, when you're versing Wolves defence, when you're versing West Ham defence, who none of them can defend those kind of balls. That screams attacking returns to me. So for that reason, I think particularly for the next 5 weeks, Luca Dean is a very good asset. And at 4.5 million, he's dirt cheap as well. Now we're covering the Man United defender I think we should all be paying attention to. Now, I'm a Man United fan, so I feel like I've got a little bit of a good read on this. So lots of people say De Ligt's really good because he just scored against Tottenham, but he scored 1 goal and I think he's got 4 lots of DC contributions for the season, which isn't amazing. Let's be honest, it's not amazing. And only 2 clean, was actually, no, 1 clean sheet, I lie. Luke Shaw's got 2 clean sheets because he's been subbed early in one of those games where he got an extra clean sheet, which is part of the reason why I don't mind Luke Shaw. Now, the reason, I know this is a little bit long-winded, but the reason why I think he could be an option is because Lisandro Martinez is almost back from injury. Now, if he's back from injury, I would argue, based off the pathetic performances we've seen from Dorgu and Dalot at left wing back, that if Amarin is slightly clever, he is actually going to play Martinez at left centre-back and he'll put Luke Shaw at left wing-back because Luke Shaw actually can deliver a really good cross, as we've already got seen there, 1 assist for the season already. It just actually matches what Dalot and Dorgu have done, and he's been playing at left centre-back, barely getting forward. There is a world where Luke Shaw plays left wing-back for the foreseeable future with Martinez back in the team, and if that happens, he will be the Man United defender you want because he will be the one getting forward. Now, people say Luke Shaw's injury record. The dude has started 11 games this season. You want to know why he started 11 games this season? Because it is a World Cup year and Luke Shaw has to play himself into that England team. And there's nothing more that he loves more than about football than it's playing for England. He would rather not play a whole year for Man United and show up and play for England and get himself fit. We've seen it time and time again. I'm a Man United fan. I've been watching this happen for the last 10 years, it feels like. So I just think that he will keep himself fit. And if Amarin's got a little bit of balls about him, he'll whack him there I mean, he might not, but I think that he should. And if he does, he's going to be an amazing asset for now through to like most of the season, particularly at 4.5 mil. Then we got Nico O'Reilly. Now, I'm covering Nico O'Reilly this week because he does seem to be the most popular City defender that's being bought, even though he's still only 2% owned. And he's been incredible. The problem I've got with O'Reilly is the start. So he's got 7 starts there for the season out of 11. He's come on in 3 of those other 4 games for 1-pointers. That's my problem with O'Reilly. He's more than capable of being benched and then coming on for a 1-pointer. Now, other defenders that don't suffer the same fate at Man City, Gabriel, only ever been brought off the bench twice in his whole Manchester City career, and Mateus Nunes. Now, outside of the first 4 weeks of the season where it seemed to be happening every other week, since then, he has not been brought off the bench, exactly how Nightmare said it at the start of the season. So, but if you wanted someone that does look like he's always going to get some sort of minutes, he's your man. 0.2 XGI per 90 was pretty damn good for a defender. And the XGC per 90 conceded, 0.99, is next level good. He's obviously got the 1 DC the last game out as well. So he's just looking sexy in general. And I just think he's going to be a really good asset. I think he's going to be a better asset once AFCON happens, because then I think he's 100% nailed. The problem I've got is that I'm sure that Pep's going to try and give Ait-Nouri some minutes, and Ait-Nouri is going to be in direct competition with O'Reilly, let alone Gabriel as well. That's my only concern. But if you're willing to take the Pep roulette gamble, it could definitely pay off for you. So on to the midfielders this week, and Ahmad stays again. I mean, this guy, I've covered him the last 3 weeks, but he continuously gets the job done. Gets the assist in the game against Spurs, gets the bonus points as well. He's just looking incredible. Up until AFCON, up until Gameweek 16, he could well be the top scoring Man United player in that team. He's looked electric. He's looked incredible. And he only costs 6.3 million. Like, if money is an issue, he's your second avenue into that Man United attack. You haven't already got one of them, Mbeumo or Bruno. Ahmad could easily be your number 2 player. And I wouldn't begrudge you, because I kind of wish myself that I had him instead of Bruno. I wish I had Mbeumo and Ahmad at the moment, because that is where the points are being racked up. That right-hand side of our team is electric. And look, he's been so unlucky not to get any DC contributions. 9.32 averaging him per 90 is just incredible. And like the underlying, he's literally going at 0.42 XGI per 90. Like, that is literally 2 goal involvements every 3 games. Like, it's ridiculous. He's so good. So good every 4 games. I can't remember. I've got that horribly wrong. 2 in every 5, whatever it is. He's really good. He's really, really good. 2 in every 5. That's what I was saying. But yeah, I just think he's going to be great. He's nailed. I'm going to miss him when he goes to AFCON, and I think he's going to go on absolute tear over the next 5 weeks. Now I've got some controversial picks today, I'm telling you. So Wirtz. Wirtz is the Liverpool player I'm going to draw your attention to. 7.1% ownership he has dropped to. It's not Szoboszlai I'm recommending. Why? Because I just think Wirtz is a goal or an assist away from exploding. That's all I'm basing this on. 7 starts, 0 goals, 0 assists. The definition of 007 is Florian Wirtz. But at least he's got 2 clean sheet points in there for his owners, and he's come off the bench a couple of times for good 1-pointers. But when you're going at 0.32 XGI per 90, at some point it's going to click and you're going to score points. And I just think it's just a matter of time, and the easier fixtures you would think could open the door and unlock the key for Florian Wirtz to take over that Liverpool midfield and start delivering some returns. I think Slot's slowly working out that, they need his quality on the field. Hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Hopefully I'm just ahead of the curve and banging on about him before he inevitably scores against Nottingham Forest and everyone's talking about him. Maybe I'm going a week early and getting ahead of the crowd. I just think that potentially there is some potential to steal some points on your rivals with him. Then we've got one of my favourite players to talk about, but it's not the other Anderson, it is the Anderson. This guy is unbelievably good as a midfielder. Now, I was very sceptical at the start of the season. I will hold my hands up and say he was a crap pick. I don't think he's a crap pick anymore. Every time I watch Forest, he just he runs the entire game. How he hasn't got more points is just a testament to how poor Forest have been from an attacking perspective this season. Because his underlying numbers, like when you look at him and you compare him to Caicedo, so Caicedo's got the highest DC points per 90, I think, in the game, 12.86. Anderson's got 12.82 per 90. His underlying numbers for attacking contributions are so much higher than Caicedo's. Like, it would not be a surprise to see Anderson go and rack up probably 5 goals and maybe 7 or 8 assists across the course of the season. Whereas it's just so much harder to see that based on what Caicedo's underlying numbers are. And I just think he's quality. Like, he's balls into the box. Like, with the way Sean Dyche is going to be playing, I can see a lot more returns come from Anderson. And I was going to include him before he took the penalty this week because I just like the fixtures coming up and I think that they'll score against Liverpool. That's just my honest opinion. Sorry, Liverpool fans. I just think they will. And then the fixtures get quite nice for Nottingham Forest post that again. So I can see a lot of attacking returns. I can see him getting involved in the attacking returns. And then he's going to get every other week, he's going to get the extra 2 points for DC. Now, if he's your 5th midfielder, which is where I would only be buying him for, not as a 4th midfielder, I'll be honest about that. But as a 5th midfielder, if you're looking to buy for a bench boost play over the next 6 weeks, he's the pick. He's the 5th midfielder I would be recommending, and play your bench boost on either game week 14 or 17 when the fixtures look beautiful. Anderson could be a real star. And if he continues to keep penalties, he's going to go up in even more popularity. I don't think he is going to be on penalties. I think that will be the forward going forward. I just think it turned out that when that penalty was given, there wasn't many forwards on the pitch, so that's why Anderson took it. So I wouldn't be counting on that moving forward, but he's still going to be a really good asset. And then Buendia. Now, this is almost like the 2nd or 3rd coming for Buendia. Now, he's only got 4 starts for the season. He's got 3 goals and 2 assists, and depends on you never know with Emery. He could start, he could be benched. You don't know. If he goes off the boil, he's definitely going to be benched. But again, at that lower price point, 5.3 million in value, why not take a punt as like your 5th midfielder? I mean, if he's going to be sitting on your bench like most weeks, but you want to play him like 3 of the next 5, for example, the Leeds, Wolves and West Ham game, why not pick him? Like, he could go absolutely ballistic. Like, we've seen him go ballistic in a couple of games already this season, off the bench even. I just think he could be really good value. And I think that Emery's, like, he's been the most creative of Villa's players this season. 0.21 expected goals, 0.14 expected assists per 90. His underlying DC numbers are actually pretty good as well at 10.55, even though he hasn't yet hit that threshold. But he could be really good value. Again, I was going to include him in the 1 week punt, but I included another Aston Villa player there instead, just because of the fact that I preferred his numbers and I thought he was worth a bit more discussion than the other one I put up for the 1 week punt. And on to the forwards this week. And look, it is slim pickings in the forward line. Thiago's gone over 10% ownership, so I've taken him off. Welbeck is very close to going to about 10% ownership, so I've taken him off. So I've gone really fishing into the well, and I don't know how much I believe in any of these 4 forwards, if I believe in any of them at all. Having owned having owned 2 of the 4 myself already this season and not had that much success with them. But we're going to start with Delap. 6.2 million, and I do think that João Pedro plays better when he's got a number 9 there, which basically means I think that Delap will be starting more games than he's not. The fixtures in general for Chelsea aren't too bad. Outside of Arsenal at home and 13, 12 and 14 scream points and starts potentially for Delap as well. Now, the underlying numbers are horrible, and he's yet to score. He's yet to get an assist. But those fixtures suggest that maybe this is the week where he will return. So I don't mind him. Let me know if you're a Chelsea fan, whether you rate him or not, whether you'd go there. I just look at the value, and I'm like, 6.2 million. I'd rather have Delap than bloody Mark Gui. I know it's an extra 2 million, but Delap's going to get returns. Mark Gui's going to get you 1 point. Then we got Isaac. Now, Isaac is no longer yellow flagged in the game, which is interesting, and he's 10.4 million, and it would take a very brave person to go out there and basically recommend Isaac to anyone. But when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel under 10% ownership in the forward line, Isaac's name comes up because he's only 4.6% owned. Now, forwards this year in general, even Haaland, haven't really... Well, Haaland's been worth the value, but no other forward, you could argue, has been worth the value except Thiago. Thiago and Haaland are the two exceptions in the forward line that have been worth the price that you pay for them. Now, Isak's had 3 starts for only 1 assist. The underlying numbers are not completely awful, but they're not fabulous compared to what they used to be at Newcastle. It's probably because of the fact he's gone into a new team and they're trying to figure out how to play with him. But you'd expect him to start. Like, they paid so much money for him, he has to almost start. And I just think that he'll probably end up scoring goals at some point. Maybe the time to go for him is probably around game week 16 when Salah goes to AFCON. Then you think that Isak will be on penalties. That might be the time to invest, but he's definitely got to be considered for under 10% ownership as a differential in the forward line. Then we've got Ivan Nilsson. He looks pretty good. Like, the fixtures look pretty good for Bournemouth. The problem is he just hasn't been very good. So 8 starts for the season, only 1 goal and 1 assist. I actually had him for both of those returns, and then I got rid of him on my wild card. He just wasn't cutting the mustard, and he's just been poor. Like, the underlying numbers compared to last season have been awful. 0.2 expected goals per 90, 0.04 expected assists. He's been non-existent as a forward pretty much in most of these games. It's been Semenyo's show. Now, maybe that's why Semenyo's been so good, is because of Ivan Nilsson, and maybe that's why Iraola prefers Ivan Nilsson compared to Kripke Jr. when he's fit, which is maybe some of the reason why Semenyo went off the boil. We'll have to wait and see, but he, based on the fixtures, you'd have to say he's worth half a shout. And then if you're really based off the fixtures, it has to be Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins looks incredible. Leeds away, Wolves at home, West Ham away, 3 of the next 5. Then Brighton as well, who love conceding goals too, and Man United who like conceding goals. Like 5 of the next 6. If fixtures ever breed form, it will breed form for Ollie Watkins. The problem is that I've got with it is he costs 8.5 million. And I just don't think, unless you're going to be banging in 10 plus points a week at 8.5 million, you're not worth the money. So can he do it? Yes. Historically, he's proven that he can do it. But will he do it? That is a completely different question entirely. And I'm not sure that he can. But again, he's got to be the 4th best one this week, just based on the fixtures alone, even though the price is very much off-putting. So on to my best 1 week punts. Now, game week 11, for the 2nd week in a row, I had 50% of my blokes come in pretty big too. So I was unlucky. I picked the wrong Chelsea defender here. I could have picked every other defender. Chalobah, could have picked Kukurea. They all would have come in. I should have picked Chalobah because he was actually pickable. I could have picked Gusto for 15 points. That would have been mad. But I didn't have the foresight there. I just thought James would start and he didn't. So 1 point, unlucky if you went there. But Morgan Gibbs-White, 10 points, and Pedro Neto, 9 points. Came in clutch. I said that they were both really good 1 week punts, combined for 19 points. I had them both, I think, on the free hit draft I put out for game week 11 as well. So if you followed that, they went mega. So that was very, very nice if you owned them. The disappointing one, obviously, though, was Jared Bowen up top. I just expected a lot more than what he delivered in that game. 2 points when West Ham scored 3 goals for the 2nd consecutive week and only to get 2 points. Feels like a complete letdown, and I was let down by my man Jared Bowen, and he probably owes me a couple later in the season when, inevitably, I will buy him back in for another punt. So on to my best 1 week punts for game week 12, and this week we're going with Tyrick Mitchell from Crystal Palace as the defender. He's had 11 starts for 1 goal. He's got 5 clean sheets across that time. He's got 3 lots of DC contributions as well. I like this fixture for him. Wolves are not a very good defensive team. He's going to be playing as the wing back. He's going to be getting forward. I just think that, like, for a bloke that's only 2.3% owned, I feel like this is a defender that surely is a sure banker this week and is going to blow up. I legitimately think Wolves will be hit for 6 this week by Palace. I don't know why, I just think they will. So I think he's a really good shout. So yeah, Tyrick Mitchell for me all day long as the defender this week, under 10% owned. You could go for another. You could have gone for Lacroix, I suppose, but I just thought Mitchell had a bit more upside and I quite liked the look of him. Now, the reason why Buendia was in the midfielders is because I've got Morgan Rogers right here. Leeds away and followed by Wolves at home. Not going to lie, he might feature in the 1 week punts 2 weeks running. 4.9% ownership. Yes, he's only got 1 goal and 2 assists for the season, and his underlying numbers are garbage. 0.06 expected goals, 0.09 expected assists. But that's how Rodgers plays the game. He's never been a bloke that has like high high numbers in terms of those underlying numbers. So I just think that he's going to be great. The fixtures should breed form. So I'm going Morgan Rogers this week. I think he's going to be very good. And very similar reason down here, Garnacho. Only 0.9% ownership. Now, he has started to get the starts there at Chelsea in recent times. 5 starts now, 1 goal, 2 assists. Again, that looks pretty good. And the underlying numbers are through the roof. I actually was like, what? That can't be correct. 0.23 expected goals per 90, 0.45 expected assists. That combines to 0.68 expected goal involvement per 90 when he's on the field. That's ridiculous. Like, he's got to be in the one-week punt section with those numbers. So that's why he's there. Not because of the fact I rate him as a player, because he left. Maybe I'm still a bit salty about that, being a United boy and then just literally turfing us under the bus, but it is what it is. But I think he's got the scope here to go massive in 2 of the 3 next games. And he could be a really good long-term holder as well, especially now that Gittins potentially might have got himself injured during the international break as well. And then the forward this week, Danny Welbeck. I took him out of the forwards because I think he will go over 10% very shortly. But 9.1% ownership, he's up to 6.5 million. And the fixtures in general for Brighton are not too bad. And he's going at career numbers. 8 starts for 6 goals, no assists yet. But 0.53 expected goals per 90, 0.07 expected assists. That's like 0.6 XGI per 90 as well combined. Like, all these guys have huge potential this week. And I just think that there's a week where I'm going to get 4 correct. This could well be the week where I get 4 bangers that all pop off in 1 week. I'm pretty confident. In how they're shaping up this week. So that brings us to the end of my Game Week 12 differentials to boost your rank, and hopefully I provided you with some interesting content and some interesting players that might have been going underneath your radar, or you might just not have even considered, but based on the fixtures, you might now go back and reconsider. Let me know if that has been thought-provoking or not, of whether there's people you want me to cover over the next coming weeks when the fixtures do change for the likes of Manchester City and stuff like this. If you've enjoyed it, make sure you smash a like, leave us a comment, and if you haven't already smashed that sub button, please consider doing so. And I'll see you probably on Wednesday for my top transfer tips before team selection on Thursday, and the late mail on Friday. It's back. Thank God the international break is coming to an end. I'm sick of it. I've been FPL D-Unit. You guys have been amazing. I'll catch you again soon.